this second edition, and the first time I think I have a co-host as well. Ananya, thank you so much for joining in. We have an illustrious list of speakers, but this is the second summit. This is the second edition, and I mean, we're not here to talk about how glorious the first edition was. Maybe just a little bit.
Aspects of it. There is a lot that you need to do in terms of skill and not just mere education on the paper. I think that is what also Lex Consolium Foundation is trying to do, whether it's with respect to the series on training the teachers and going strong and bringing in all these, amazing people. Some of the work that you're doing is clearly, sir, surpassing all heights. And I wish you all the best for this kind of work even in the future. And I hope like people continue to enjoy. Thank you so much for joining the show
Nihshank,
today.
it's wonderful speaking
Yes.
to you, and through you to a bigger number of students. My best wishes, and I
Absolutely.
enjoyed every
Thank you.
second of this interview. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you so much.
David Attenborough documentaries on
right.
Netflix. So that said that migration is the most important for survival.
Okay.
For every animal on this planet is
Right.
migrating
Right.
constantly. So yeah, that moving part. And apart from that, I think also discipline, conducting yourself in public life. All of those things come very naturally. You know, people used to tell me you must have a very disciplined life or this or that. And I felt no, it's quite chill, it's quite normal.
Yeah.
But then now that I have more interaction on the outside world, I feel like it was disciplined with as compared to what happens
Yeah.
with my cousins, you know, like
Yeah.
till 10th standard, I was lights out at 9:30. Like we had
Right.
to sleep by
Right.
9:30, even in 11th, 12th, and we were even today, evenings are कि कुछ करना है. You can't sit at home. You go for a walk or you play some sport or you having some sport in your life is really important. Somebody. So I think all those kind of things. And I think we really know how to party.
Okay. Okay. Fair.
एंड एक और चीज मतलब मुझे पर्सनली पूछनी, कभी आपको ऐसे फ्री में स्क्रीनिंग्स वगैरह पे इनवाइट करते हैं क्या फिल्म ऐसे आने के पहले बाहर?
हाँ बहुत बार
अरे यार, तो ये तो बताना था ना, ये भी इंसेंटिव है कितना बड़ा पर्क है बहुत सारे लोगों के लिए, दे गेट टू वॉच फिल्म्स. कैन यू टॉक अबाउट अ फिल्म दैट यू हैव वॉच्ड पहले से?
I have watched a lot of films and shows. I can't name everything, but I can take the liberty of talking about a documentary called Borderlands. It's again my
Borderlands.
yeah.
Okay.
So there's a story. ये recently हुआ Jio Mami
हाँ.
festival था,
Okay.
and yeah, so my producer called me and like कि please आओ देखने.
Right.
It was a houseful show with
Yeah.
critics and everybody, and this is a story. I think you should link it down because it's a beautiful presentation of people living on the borders of India.
Right.
And the story takes turn because जो राइटर डायरेक्टर है इस फिल्म के वो खुद इसमें एक्ट कर रहे हैं विद हिज ओन मदर बिकॉज दे आर ऑल्सो फ्रॉम सम बॉर्डर. सो वो एक स्क्रीनिंग पे जाना और क्रिटिक्स के साथ बैठ के देखना इज सम अनदर काइंड ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस.
Okay,
So
fair.
Would see someone, I don't know if मतलब ये आपकी personal experience है या नहीं, and that is something that you can tell us. People have come on the show and they've talked about how they can understand कि कोई second generation, third generation या XYZ, and मतलब rightly so, if someone's father is a lawyer, why would they not have their child out? But that sense of acknowledgement also is at times not there कि भाई I have this privilege, है ना. एक अभी हमने पिछले शो पर भी बात करा 12वीं फेल, 12th फेल एक फिल्म आई थी, and then you see the real struggle of a person who's struggle जिसको बोलते हैं आजकल, तो there are different people calling different kind of things struggle, and then saying that I have also struggled and whatever it is, and ठीक है सबकी अपनी जर्नी है like I said. But then do you feel that कभी वो चीज भी फील होती है कि अगर मैं सेकंड जनरेशन थर्ड जनरेशन के होते तो मेरे लिए इजियर होता है, बट या यू आर हैप्पी कि नहीं दिस इज माई प्लेस, दिस इज माई वे टू गो, आई एम हैप्पी बीइंग अ फर्स्ट जन, इट्स ओके, मुझे जो फेस करना पड़ेगा आई विल फेस इट ऑन माय वे.
I mean, my mindset always been like कि I have been a very street learner kind of a person. So I feel not having a privilege is a privilege to me.
Okay.
So I mean, again, I'm not that knowledgeable. I can be wrong, but that's what I personally believe. और लोग अगर इस mindset के साथ चलेंगे, अगर मेरे से कोई छोटा है, I would say the same to them. प्रिविलेज है तो अच्छा है, उससे आप बहुत कुछ अच्छा कर सकते हो लोगों का. बहुत सारे लोगों को यू कैन टेक अलोंग. इट्स नॉट जस्ट ए सोल पर्सन जर्नी, आपके साथ और लोग भी चलते हैं साथ में. सो या उस तरीके का माइंडसेट अगर लोग रखे तो इट्स गुड, सबका हेल्प होगा उसमें। और कोई अगर एक बार से लॉयर बन गया इसका मतलब यही तो नहीं कि दे आर जस्ट हेल्पिंग आउट देयर ओन फैमिली, इट्स अदर पीपल हु आर कनेक्टेड टू देम टू। अगेन प्रिविलेज नहीं है ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते, प्रिविलेज है कुछ लोग और एक्नॉलेज नहीं करते हैं, वो भी चीज है। आई हैव सीन अ कपल ऑफ पोस्ट ऑन लिंक्डइन एंड पीपल हु आर थर्ड और fourth gen उसमें they are not ready to accept the struggle that first gen people are facing. Some of them, exceptions are there, but some of them. But again, it's fine. It's world. That's how
Yeah,
it
it's something.
functions. Life is not fair to anybody.
बेसिकली द इंटररिलेशनशिप इन द सेंस कि यार एक फैमिली भी होती है, यू हैव अदर रिलेशनशिप्स आल्सो, एवरीबॉडी हैज, एंड
Hmm.
उसको बैलेंस करना, उनको भी वो भी इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें हैं, उन्हें भी टाइम देना पड़ता है. And then
Yeah.
on the other hand, you're doing so many things which you're not accepting, and you put it as so little. But then it is there. It is there. And then how exactly does this interrelationship pay? Kabhi wo cheez affect hui hai, and you have gone back and you've been like, okay, I need to analyze things out and probably set it into perspective now.
Yeah, honestly, it is challenging, and there's always that period where you feel like, I could be more available to my family, um, in relativity than I am now. It is challenging, yaar, and at the end of the day, we are all human. हमें भी अपने सपोर्ट सिस्टम्स चाहिए होते हैं, हमें भी अपने इंटरपर्सनल कनेक्शंस मेंटेन करने होते हैं. At the end of the day, you need an outlet to vent, which is not just your colleagues and not just your students. You need a way, you need your people who know you in a deeper way, in a, unprofessional, absolutely candid, unfiltered way, to be able to sometimes come and just tell you the truth in the way that it is also. So of course it does. Yeah, it is always a challenge, and it's something that, we do face time to time. But luckily for us, I think there are some down periods as well, where things, like, it's just the way the sort of financial years and transactions and matters pick up. There are some down periods, and it is in those periods that you want to reclaim a little bit back from your life. So maybe, travel a little bit, or go and see your family for a short while, etc. But I do realize that, as compared to a generation before us, or even people, practicing for over a decade and above, as compared to now, there is a shift in terms of the way families also perceive um, careers, and especially those of women.
Absolutely.
Earlier, I think the expectation was a lot more in terms of being able to balance domestic responsibilities with
Right.
your professional duties. And
Right.
therefore, the challenge was always so much more. It was always breaking that glass ceiling for
Yeah.
a lot of people who've come before us.
Right.
But thanks to them, the path is widened up for us a little bit. And,
Right.
today we have the ability to be able to be committed professionals while having support from our families in the background. Like, for example, and I know you think this is like a very positive, politically correct interview, but to make it more personal, I will tell you, for example, my mother-in-law, when she was younger, she was a lawyer, she was practicing, she was doing well for herself. She decided to grow in terms of her you know, in her person, she didn't stop studying. She didn't stop achieving in terms of thinking that, oh, I've become a practicing lawyer, or today I have a family or a husband who can provide for me, and therefore, I will completely stop investing in myself. She continued to study. She did an MBA. She, even has degrees in terms of being able to professionally educate children. And she turned it around to actually establishing a preschool for children, where, children with special needs study along with and beside with other children in a cohesive environment. And she does this while being able to balance her family, her children, her home, her other responsibilities, and things like that. But because she's had that exposure and experience of being able to build something of her own in a world which was so much tougher, in a generation that was so much tougher, she has that level of insight and empathy for me, where those expectations are very leveled and reasonable as compared to what she had to go through. And I do think it's women like that who have been able to set examples for us, and help us and guide us in a way to achieve more, and
Right.
that speaks to generations of having done that before.
Right, right, right. No, and also with respect to the politically correct and all that, but I think the reason why I've kept this season unfiltered is because I think this is who you are, Ravina.
nobody for so long after so many questions can put up a front. So I see you as it is. I think this is the person you are. Whatever you're saying, it seems very genuine. And my next question to you is if you ever want to try politics. No, 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 no. I'm not gonna ask that. But yeah, no, it's the
Man,
way
never
you're
say
answering.
never. क्या
Never.
पता क्यों?
My work is very important to me, but I do not believe in the concept of work life balance per se. I'll tell you the concept that I really believe in because the kind of jobs we're in, I'm not one to speak for a law firm necessarily because I'm not with one anymore. But with mine, it becomes difficult when you're working with different time zones, etc., to keep a work life balance per se. What I do try is maintaining some work life integration. And what that really means is that, contrary to what work life balance would mean, that you're trying to establish some sort of equilibrium in all aspects of your life. Work life integration would be more like weaving in all of the aspects of your life together for seamless efficiency. So, for example, my calendar today would have everything mapped out in it, including my personal commitments. So if I have to go to my daughter's school today, that's mapped as my personal time. I'm going to be away. And then there are meetings, and then there's lunch or whatever. And then there's the lunch is pretty much a working lunch always. Uh, I try to carve out dinner time with my children. So, you kind of, that gives you a little bit of more flexibility. That's the only way to do it. Otherwise, if you think that you can do a 9 to 5 job, then you need a government job. It's not going to happen anywhere else.
No, okay, yeah. Thank you so much. I really like how honest you are with your answers. You're like, भाई देख लो ये तो ऐसे ही होगा. So, that
तो
is
वही है. अब मैंने किसी को रिसर्च दी, वो जनरल गूगल आर्टिकल्स पढ़ के मेरे पास आ गया.
right,
एंड माइंड यू, जब हमारे पास कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम आती है, गूगल आर्टिकल हम भी पढ़ते हैं पहले. तो
right,
जो आपने पढ़ा होगा वो मैंने पढ़ा होगा और मुझे पता चल जाएगा आप वो से पढ़ा होगा.
right, right,
ठीक है.
right,
व्हाट आई वांट एन इंटर्न टू डू इज, उसने उस लॉ की पढ़ाई की है.
right,
ही मे नॉट हैव द एक्सपर्टीज, बट वो पढ़ के आया है. तो सेंसिबल चीज बोल रहा है, रिलेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा है.
right,
जजमेंट्स ढूंढी है.
right.
अगर मैं जजमेंट ढूंढने को बोल रहा है,
Yeah.
उसको चाहे ना मिली हो, बट उसके आसपास
Push.
भी कुछ मिल गया हो.
Yes, yes.
राइट. उसने सेंसिबली आके मेरे से बात समझी और फिर सेंसिबल जवाब देने की कोशिश की है. दीज आर द 3-4 बेसिक थिंग्स अगर मुझे लगती हैं, देन आई आस्क देम कि भाई दिस पर्सन हैज कैलिबर. ऑब्वियसली इसका ये मतलब होता है कि ये मेहनत करेगा तो आगे बढ़ेगा.
Right.
इसका एटीट्यूड मेहनत करने वाला हो चुका
वाला
है.
है. Yeah.
ये मेन चीज होती है.
Right,
अब
right.
कोई ऊपर ऊपर से रिसर्च करेगा, मतलब कई लोग मैंने देखे, वो एक इंटर्न ने दूसरे इंटर्न से पूछा, दूसरा इंटर्न हैज नो
Yeah.
मतलब स्किन इन द गेम, उसने कुछ भी बोल दिया, वो आके बता रहा है उसको. एंड ऑब्वियसली सी द पॉइंट इज, आपको रिसर्च तब दिया गया है जब उसका जवाब ढूंढना है.
Right,
उसका
right,
जवाब रेडीली अवेलेबल नहीं है.
right,
बट ये आप लगा के चलो, जिसने भी आपको रिसर्च किया है उसको बेसिक तो पता ही है उसका.
right, right,
और
right.
हो सकता है उसका जवाब भी पता हो. ही इज जस्ट
Absolutely.
सीकिंग अ वैलिडेशन.
Yeah.
तो अगर आप अच्छा प्रोडक्ट ला के दोगे, कई
Right,
कई इंटर्न्स मैंने देखा है, वो अब उनको रिसर्च दो, अपनी वो तो करके लाएंगे, वो एक नोट सा अपने आप बिना बोले बना के लाएंगे. नोट बना के ले आएंगे, उसमें जजमेंट्स वगैरह वो ये होंगी. डिस्कशन में वो नोट उनके पास होगा, उस पर रिलाई करके आपको बता रहे हैं. ठीक है.
right,
एंड आफ्टर दैट वो नोट आपको दे देते हैं.
right,
नाउ
right,
यू सी, उसके उस एफर्ट से मेरा टाइम बचा है. राइट. आई हैव समथिंग टू इमीडिएटली रेफर टू. एंड
right,
दैट्स व्हाट आई वांट, कि भाई मैंने आपको काम दिया है, क्योंकि मेरे को दूसरी चीजों को कंसंट्रेट करना है. आपने मेरे को एक अच्छी सी चीज दे दी और मेरा
right,
टाइम बच रहा है, तो ऑब्वियसली आई पुट माय बेट्स ऑन यू, बेसिकली सेइंग कि इसका मेहनत करने का एटीट्यूड है एंड ही इज हेल्पिंग मी आउट. दैट इज
right.
हाउ an one intern is differentiated from an
From
another one.
other.
जो
Yeah.
कई तो मैंने देखे हैं कि उनको फोन करके कभी बोलो हम बिजी हैं. ठीक है, बिजी है, बिजी क्या.
Coming back, please organize seminars, conferences to bring out the application and practice part of the law,
Right.
so that
Yeah,
you hit the ground running. My
absolutely.
notion of empowerment is that a person is empowered when he becomes financially independent. So
Absolutely.
sooner after your law school you become financially independent, you are empowered.
Right.
Next
Absolutely.
Nishank.
Absolutely. No, sir. And in fact, I think that's one way to go
And
about
it's
it.
definitely not negative, right? It's definitely not also artificial because अगर कोई यहाँ पर बैठ के I've been doing this for a while, काफी समय हो गया है. Now that I'm making it available publicly, but 7-8 साल हो गए हैं मुझे ये करते हुए. And if somebody comes here and throws a lot of nonsense, artificial book things to me, I understand that they're just trying to say positive things because this is going to go out in the public. But अगर आप believe करते हो तो वो आपकी आंखों में दिख जाता है. That is something I can see. So that is credit to you, kudos to you, and I hope you keep on getting more and more success in whatever you are doing. But there are hardships, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah,
There
yeah,
are
of
issues,
course. Yeah.
and there are people. कभी ऐसा हुआ है कि किसी से मिलके लगा है कि ये प्रोफेशन ही छोड़ देना चाहिए, या that person has been like, यार, what are you doing with your life? This is not something you should be doing on. Because the
Yes.
point is, when you have an open mind, a lot of people want to put a lot of things in it. Has it happened to you? And what about it? Like,
Yeah, I think even now, like, corporate investigation, something I'm doing is not necessary. It's not a law dominated thing, like I think law firms are now, they have, I think Trilegal is doing really well. They have that investigation, department, but the law firms are still getting into this. It's not like it has been dominated by lawyers. And earlier at a place, I was at a law dominated place. So coming from there, my mind had to, like, the approach of my mind had changed like 180 degrees. So now that I come here, I am not at a dominated lawyer place. So whenever there are, it's very different, and you have to prove your worth.
I think what is the bracket that people have to be paid, etc., depends from the kind of society you come from, depends on the kind of place you come from, depends on the kind of place you're going to, right? 50,000 in Bombay is very different from a 50,000 in Chennai or in Cochin or even for Bangalore for that matter, right? Because Bombay is extremely expensive, right? But you can't tell people that I'm getting paid 3 lakhs in Bombay, therefore in Chhattisgarh also you should give me 3 lakhs.
3 lakh rupees, yeah.
Right. So that's a life cycle problem that this as an institution, I think we all have to realize that this fundamental approach to not paying people should not exist. I think everybody should be paid. Now, how everybody is paid, etc., depends on the kind of circumstances you're at. Everybody, unfortunately, if you look at this was a statistical data that I did when I was interning with Mr. Gopal Subramaniam when he was Solicitor General. He was then the Bar Council chairman, and he had just started this process of your All India Bar exam. So we were doing a statistical analysis of how many law schools are there and how many graduates sort of every year come out of law schools. And so therefore, what is the spread of the All India Bar exam that we need to have? And back then, and this was, I'm talking about 2010, 11, maybe at that point of time, there were about 36,000 law students coming out of law schools every year. Right? 2011. So I'm talking 10 years hence, and if not double, at least you're looking at 50,000 law graduates coming out every year. 50,000 law graduates, right? Even if you are to take 20 big law firms in the country today, and all 20 of them hire 100 students each, right? You're looking at 20,000. What happens to the remaining 30,000? 2,000. Sorry, yeah, that's 2,000. Exactly. So what happens to the remaining 48,000?
That's true.
What happens to the 48,000? That's the kind of laws becoming more like an engineering now. Right? So that's the kind of people who are coming in, and everybody is not going to get a tier 1 law firm or a tier 2 law firm, right? So at some point of time, I think there has to be a harmonization between what students expect and what employers are able to give.
Yeah, somewhere
right? Yeah. Now, if you ask me about patience, I'm very fortunate in that way to say that I have been able to start my own law firm. Initially we started this out as two independent chambers, my father's chamber and my chamber. My father got designated in 2018. And then after that, we decided that we are going to start our own practice together because I was working somewhere else and he was working somewhere else at that point of time. So we decided to start our own practice at that point of time. So it basically started with two independent chambers.
Right.
And we said at that point of time, we will start from home.
Yeah.
We will not have anybody.
Yeah.
We will take, if we are able to get 2 or 3 matters in a month,
Yeah.
that's enough to run our house,
Right.
right?
Right.
6 years down the line, we have an office of 30 people,
Right.
right? It's grown manifold. There's a lot of client work that we do. There's a lot of different practice areas that we do, etc. And I'm very proud to say that two, 3 people who joined us in 2019, 20, etc., are doing exceedingly well in terms of how they fared, how they've grown, how they handle work, etc. And their pay is equal to tier one,
Right. Right. Right.
right? It it happens with time,
It happens.
and it also needs to come out of sheer comfort of that employer-employee relationship and trust.
Right. 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 No. And
Right? It has to come out of trust. For me to be able to say, okay, I can trust this person,
right.
and I know for a fact that this person is going to be there with me for a long period of time. It's a two-way street.
So, chalo, so you essentially identified it through other people, and then you see whether it matches with your own sort of interests or not. But you figure out karna, just say a lot of people take a lot of time, and it's absolutely okay. Whether they are in the third year, fourth year, even after they've graduated, they do not know it, especially in a space wherein there is so much of upcoming things. Data privacy abhi bahut zyada, artificial intelligence and its impact on the law. These things are currently, sort of in the trend. But how do you sort of identify कि this should be my area of interest? Like, were you just reading about it? कब आपको लगा कि भाई यही करना चाहिए? Once you got into that firm, or was it पहले से?
No, it was actually when I started going to the court and attending proceedings,
Okay.
and also by case laws reading. I
Right.
think both these things helped me to figure out what I wanted to do.
Right.
Because I
Okay.
also felt lost initially when I didn't enter into this field, right? So
Okay.
I think
Okay.
होता तो सबके साथ ही है. Like,
बिल्कुल. No,
चाहे
that's true.
पहले चाहे बाद में हो, it's, of course you'll take your own sweet time to figure out what actually interests you.
Yeah. No, but and I think it's absolutely all right also to any law student who watches it. ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं कि तुम 5 साल कुछ मत करो if you have a 5 year law program. But as long as you're trying, you will figure it out. ऐसा तो होता ही नहीं लाइफ में कि तुमको कुछ भी ना पसंद आए. Then the profession is not
I
made for you.
think
But
while you're
yeah,
in college, you have a lot of time in your hand. You can
right,
try a lot of internships. You can go for a lot of mood competitions.
right.
And उसमें भी idea लग जाता है what kind of a law you resonate
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
About it.
Okay.
How is it different when and firstly, what capacity is like? Is it the same as the legal counsel of a film? Or
Yes.
is it, how is it different than working with a corporation? आप corporation के साथ काम करते हो, उसके
Right.
साथ XYZ conditions होते हैं, different तरीके होते हैं. But with an individual like Vivek Agnihotri, and he's produced great films. He's directed, sorry, I think great films. Kashmir Files also, I think, is Vivek Agnihotri.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So, but how does it like change, and how is it different?
Corporates में there are a lot of segments which we have to follow. So there will be a lot of legal people who are above you,
Right.
जिन्हें जो आपको task देते हैं, you have to guide them how to do, how to go about it,
Right.
and that's it. Corporate में वैसा रहता है structuring.
Right.
While we talk about independent persons, say Vivek Agnihotri or Mohit Lalwani, I can talk to them directly. विवेक सर को इतना टाइम नहीं होता है, so there's Pallavi ma'am who comes to play, Pallavi Joshi.
Right.
She usually coordinates for all the agreements, all the deal terms, everything, right? So that's how that works. While talking about Mohit is a great friend, and उसके साथ ऐसा relation है ना कि he'll call me like कि ये register करके दे दे अभी, एक दिन में करके दे, and I'm like okay चल
Right.
ठीक है.
Right.
So sometime you develop a relationship with few people,
Right.
and sometime it is very professional. You have to keep it that way. So corporates में करना is ऐसे समझिए आपकी 9 to 5 ही है.
Okay. Okay.
You
Okay.
consult them for certain time period. कि
Right.
इस डेट से इस डेट तक के लिए मैं आपके साथ इन्वॉल्व रहूंगी एज अ लीगल काउंसिल एंड
Okay.
व्हाटएवर queries you have, you ask me whatever agreements you want me to check, give me as a retainer and I'll do it for you and that's done.
Right.
While when we work with independent practitioners, हमें उन्हें कुछ पर्सनल वे में भी समझाना पड़ती हैं चीज़ें, जैसे सर आप यहाँ पे इंडेमनिटी लीजिए, उस इंडेमनिटी का मतलब क्या होगा, क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट
Right.
है ये लेना आपके लिए, ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपके ऊपर है तो क्या आप चाहते हैं ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपके ऊपर रहे, बिकॉज इट्स अ बिग थिंग. सो बहुत सारे क्लॉजेज है विच आई कैन नॉट डिस्क्लोज, बट there are certain things which we need to explain them on a very personal level.
Right.
Because if I come from a creator's mindset, I know उन लोगों को exploit कहाँ किया जा सकता है. Because I have worked on both the ends.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
have worked with the producers, so I know वो क्या चाहते हैं creators से. I have worked with the creators, तो अब मुझे पता है कि वो क्या चाहते हैं producers से.
Right.
So
And
somewhere
that balance is
I
really
have
the
balanced it out. Yes.
harmony you're seeking out. Perfect. Perfect.
And
Perfect.
you made a statement that you know how to party. What do you mean by you know how to party? what is
I
it that
think
the other world is
I
unaware
said
of?
we know how to party, just
Yeah.
generally, you know.
What does it
I
what
think
is
this
it
sentence
supposed
is quite I think the sentence is quite
Okay,
self-explanatory,
fair enough, fair enough. Okay, we'll not
right?
delve into the
Yeah, yeah.
depths of
There are all kinds of
yeah.
there's formal parties in
Yeah,
army
yeah,
and
yeah.
this and that, and because we're the bacha party, but now not so much
Okay.
as bacha,
Yeah.
not so much. Now
Obviously,
we go
but
to all
within
the
that bracket, yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it's yeah, parties are a part of the organization really.
Right.
So I hope I'm not making any incorrect
No,
statements.
no, no. Incorrect statement. I think it's a great
Too
bonding
much.
experience also. No, probably that is why these
Oh, absolutely.
things are, yeah, it's very
We have our
important.
family,
Yeah.
your family is there, but my father's branch, his
Right.
unit, they're also our families.
Right.
Absolutely. So we're
Absolutely.
very close that way.
So you're just
They're all
correcting on
family.
what, okay, you call
No, but
themselves family.
genuinely
That's a good cover
that
up.
really is. No, I'm telling you, if I go outside and I meet some officer,
Yeah.
some jag officer or whatever, and they know whose daughter they are, ये तो अपनी बच्ची है.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
No,
it
absolutely,
becomes
absolutely.
like that.
You know, and yeah, and no, I'm just messing
And
around. Obviously,
research shows that if you write 55% of the time, you can go down Wall Street and make $1 million a day. So if you cannot be right 55% of the time, who are you to say that the
wow.
other is wrong? So yeah, I think the most important principle is that, and let me tell you, it's very difficult to do. I struggle with it even today. It becomes when you're so caught up in the hustle bustle of your work every day, you're stressed, you need to get deals done. It's really difficult not to point fingers. It's extremely difficult, and I think I struggle with it on a daily basis, but I have to remind myself that it needs to be done. As long as you have a sounding board in office who you can say that, oh my God, this guy really needs training. He needs to get it right. But otherwise, try not to do it to their face.
Okay, okay. Now that might be one of the best answers we've had on both or all the seasons that I have done so far. Especially the way you, the way you pointed out that I don't know how people think of themselves, but the fact that 55% of the time, if you were right, you would make $1 million on Wall Street every day is
Yeah.
something that's crazy. It's a
I read
crazy.
it in a book. Yeah, I read it in a book and I was really surprised. And I actually questioned myself, I can't be right 55% of the time. Is that really true? Am I that dumb? But yeah, that's what it is. That's life.
No, that's an amazing insight, Mehak, on a more serious note, especially the fact that the way you put out the idea that it's not what you see of themselves. Obviously, not given a fact that if someone just needs training and doesn't know stuff, then that's an entirely different scenario altogether. But the fact of how they see themselves. And that sort of is very important for even their confidence building. Only then can they, I think, perform to the best of their abilities and contribute in a manner that
they say that you need 3 positive comments to dissipate the impact of 1 negative comment. So that's how careful you have to be
Right.
if you want them to perform.
Mac, I have thought of something. So what I'll do is that there are a lot of quotes in this interview. I am going to put that down on the description, and I'm going to say said by Mac Oberoi. Four,
No,
five.
these are not said by me.
No,
These
no,
are
but
just read by me.
on my show, and in the disclaimer, we'll write this is from this book, this is from that book. No, but it's amazing. All the one-liners are really good, and it all of a sudden leaves a very good impact. No, no doubts about why you being invited everywhere, and you're absolutely ruling the sessions. You are not just a lawyer. You're an entrepreneur. You're an innovator. You're definitely a leader, and you're a wonderful career counselor. I mean, if anything, because I had a absolute blast trying to understand the different nuances, and finally, it was the last episode of season 2. I don't think there was a better way to close this than to call you, and probably numbers also will sort of indicate that. Thank you so much for joining the show. We'll take your last comment on the show itself. Forget the aspirants. I'm going to not talk about them, but on the show itself, and we will put that, like I said, in the highlights, and then we'll close the show on this.
I think it's a great initiative at your end. I think you are trying to keep aspirations high for people. You are trying to give people the exposure that they keep seeking, and and in so many ways creating very unique content for yourself. So I think I had a blast too.
Thank you. Thank you for putting it out and using the same word also. I request the editors to edit this part out and play it separately. No, but thank you so much, ma'am. It's been wonderful hosting you today. And I'll take 10, 20 more seconds. Thank you for everyone who's watched it. First episode, I didn't think this will go this far. We had some 48 people watching it, out of which 10 to 15 are just my friends and family members. And today we stand at a place wherein 1 lakh people watch it on a monthly basis, and it's amazing what you guys have done for the show. We don't gossip here. There is no talking about relationships and all of that, and all the K dramas not happening here, and still the kind of response that this gets is just heartwarming, and it obviously happens because of guests like Noyana Roy. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. We'll close the
Thank
season
you so
and the
much.
episode on that note. Thank you so much.
Thank you.